Every 3 years, the OECD tests 15-year-olds around the world at the PISA and ranks countries based on the results. And every 3 years, some people use the ranking to say US public education is failing. They say we must privatize, test, incentivize, union bust, cut, and fire our way to success. What they are hoping is that you'll look only at the rankings and not the lessons that can be learned from the highest performing countries. Because when you delve deeper, you will see that these countries have very different priorities from the ones they are pushing in the United States. One myth they perpetuate is that student performance in the US is dropping like a rock. In fact, since the PISA study began, the United States performance has been relatively consistent, slightly above average in reading, about average in science, and below average in math. Is this good enough? Of course not, especially since other countries are improving at a faster rate. But to make real progress, we need to focus on what will help US students improve the most. One thing PISA research makes clear is that poverty's effect on educational equity matters. The United States has a much higher child poverty rate than most developed countries. If you compare apples to apples and divide up US schools based on their poverty rate, US schools with less than 10% poverty lead most top-performing countries with similar rates. The same holds true with poverty rates between 10 and 24%, 25 and 49%, and between 50 and 75%. In each group, the US is near the top. The PISA research also shows that high-performing countries are doing a better job reducing the achievement gap. Another myth is that we already spend the most of any country on education, so that proves that schools don't need more money. Actually, when you remove the high cost of college, the US ranks only slightly above average. But the real problem in the US is the lack of equity in spending. The US ranks near the bottom in providing poor children equal access to quality educational materials. And the US is only one of 4 countries where student-to-teacher ratios are actually higher for disadvantaged students. Since the economic crisis, compared to the OECD average, US education spending is moving in the wrong direction with a 1% cut. Only 3 countries have cut more. The US also lags in early childhood education. Only 51% of 3-year-olds in the US are enrolled in high-quality preschools, compared to much higher rates in other countries. Another myth perpetuated is that our teachers are overpaid and their workday is too short. In fact, looking into the PISA data, it's not hard to see why almost 50% of teachers in the US quit within 5 years. US primary school teachers spend the most hours teaching in the classroom among all PISA countries, and yet rank near the bottom in teacher pay. In high-performing countries, teachers don't work fewer hours. Rather, they use the extra time to collaborate, prepare lessons, grade papers, and talk with parents, all of which helps student performance. Another myth is that other countries have better teachers because they only recruit from the top third of college graduates. OECD labels this claim as not supported by evidence. Actually, high-performing countries work to ensure all teachers are well-prepared and supported throughout their careers. Yet another myth is that the problem is obstruction from the teachers' unions. In fact, the highest-performing countries like Japan and Finland have the strongest teachers' unions, and the OECD recommends working with rather than demonizing unions. Maybe, just maybe, the problem is not the teachers, or the unions, or the parents, or the students. Maybe we're not doing the right things. So this year, rather than wringing our hands about the US ranking and doing the wrong things, we need to learn lessons from top-performing countries, investing in early childhood education, targeting resources to the kids who need it the most, giving teachers time to prepare lessons and collaborate, proper implementation of a robust curriculum, using tests to help teachers meet students' needs rather than as punishment, and treating teachers, community groups, and unions as partners in improving education. Only by implementing these proven reforms will we be able to reclaim the promise of a quality public education for all children in the United States.